Hey, Cash Course fans! Before we start the show, remember that you can get hundreds of free educational videos for all ages at PragerUkids.com. Subscribe today and never miss an episode.
Have you seen the price of Apple? It's gone through the roof. Tesla? Don't get me started on Tesla. Should have bought that when it was cheaper. Major mistake.
What are you talking about?
Talking about stocks.
What is a stock?
Seriously? You know what stocks are?
No, I don't.
Watch this episode of...
Stocks are a kind of investment that represents portions, or shares, of a company. Shares are sold as a way to raise capital, which is money that enables the company to grow and, make more money. When people buy shares, they are investing in the company in hopes of growing their money too, as the company becomes more profitable. Buying stock in a company makes you a part owner, also known as a shareholder of the company. The more shares you buy, the more of the company you own. And as a part owner of the company, you may even have the right to vote on certain company matters. The more shares you have, the more votes you have. Investors with a lot of ownership take voting very seriously, since it can impact their investment.
But how does someone make money investing in stocks?
Just keep listening, they'll tell you. Keep watching.
Well, if the company grows and does financially well, the value of your shares increases. On the other hand, if the company doesn't do so hot, your shares will decrease in value. Let's say, for example, Company X's stock is $10 per share, and you purchase 10 shares. Let's then say the company does well, and the stock price raises to $15 per share, and you decide to sell your shares. Congrats! You've made $50.
That's what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
On the other hand, if the price drops to $5 per share and you decide to sell, you've lost $50. And if the company goes bankrupt, well, you may lose all of your principal investment.
Are you serious?
It sounds like they're pretty serious.
It can definitely be stressful. The price of a stock fluctuates almost daily and can be dependent on lots of factors beyond a company's control, like a competitor releasing a new product, negative national news, or the performance of the overall economy. Prices are also driven by supply and demand. When there are more interested buyers and fewer shares available, the price of that stock typically increases, and vice versa. Long-term, though, the value of a company's shares tends to be based on its actual success.
But are all stocks the same? That's what I want to know.
Stocks? It's stocks. Are you even listening?
Well, some stocks are considered higher risk than others. For example, investing in smaller companies and startups could bring very high returns, since there's potentially lots of room for growth leading to appreciation of its stock price. These stocks tend to be higher risk because it could take a while to appreciate, or it could even depreciate if the company struggles to grow. On the other hand, investors can buy shares of more well-established companies, often called value stocks. Investing in these companies is usually less risky, but there's also often less room for growth. In the place of price appreciation, these companies sometimes pay shareholders in dividends. Dividends are a portion of a company's net profits, periodically paid to shareholders based on how many shares they hold. And these can be paid out in various forms like cash, discounts, or even more shares. To balance the risk, investors often diversify their investment portfolio. This means they purchase stocks across different markets and purchase different types of investments. In other words, they don't put all of their eggs in one basket.
What are you doing?
I'm calling Apple to buy some stocks.
You can't just call Apple and buy their stocks.
He's right. People have to buy and sell stocks at a stock exchange. There are exchanges all over the world, but two of the largest public stock exchanges are located in the United States: the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and the NASDAQ. And most investors typically use an intermediary, like a professional stockbroker, or many of the do-it-yourself online platforms available today. Now that you know a bit about how stocks work, consider the following. 1. Research before investing. Don't just take advice from your uncle's friend's dog walker or follow the latest trend and hype. Take advantage of the many educational resources available online that are often for free. 2. Determine your risk tolerance. Do you want to invest long-term or short-term? Are you looking for higher risk and price appreciation, or lower risk and dividend returns? These considerations will influence what type of stock purchases you make. 3. Stay calm. Investing in stocks can lead to huge swings of emotions, from great highs to low lows. And we all know that acting on pure emotion can result in some bad financial choices, so don't panic. Remember step 1 and keep researching. The more you understand the way the stock market moves, the less likely you are to make irrational decisions. Buying and selling stocks is an important part of a strong and growing economy. Companies get the capital they need to grow, and investors get to make a profit on the growth of that company, especially for the future of your money. Remember, stocks are not the right investment for everyone, so make sure to study your different options before investing.
I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many you have to buy. I want every stock in the book, all right? I want the ones that are up. I want the ones that are...
Have you ever been out with friends and suddenly realized you needed to borrow money to pay for your lunch? Embarrassing, right? Did you pay them back? Maybe with a few extra dollars as a thank you? If you did, you're a trustworthy person. Most people don't plan on asking a friend to loan them lunch money. It's accidental. But deliberately borrowing money from a bank for expensive purchases is common, and the concepts are the same. The bank loans you the money now, and you pay them back at a later date or slowly over time, with an extra amount as a fee for borrowing the money. Most people don't have the ability to pay cash for houses or cars, and a loan is the only way to buy them, but you need to be smart about it.
So, how exactly does a bank loan work?
When a bank or other lender loans money, they're taking a risk. How do they know the borrower will pay them back? If your friend asked to borrow money for lunch, you probably trust them to repay you, right? But why would a bank give money to a stranger? Well, a loan is a contract between the borrower and lender, and if it's not paid back, the borrower will be in legal trouble. But the main reason is that the bank will make money by charging an extra fee. In the end, the borrower must pay back the principal, which is the amount they borrowed, and the interest, which is the fee for borrowing it. This is how banks make their money. Most personal loans require monthly payments over several years and use simple yearly interest. For example, let's say you take out a $1,000 loan with an annual 5% interest rate that you agree to pay back over 3 years. 5% of $1,000 is $50 in interest each year. And so the total interest over the 3 years is $150. In the end, you must pay back $1,150. And this divided up over 36 months means you pay $31.95 each month. The lender ends up making $150 for loaning you the money. In a way, a credit card is like a little personal loan too. You borrow the money and pay it back on a regular basis. Credit cards even have interest rates, though they're usually much higher than a typical bank loan. So it's important you pay off your credit card bills right away, or you'll end up paying a huge fee. Some small loans have a contract where you only promise to pay the principal back. However, the bank may require collateral, something valuable that you already own, which the bank will claim if you don't pay the loan. This is called a secured loan. Stocks, bonds, cars, and savings accounts are examples of collateral. If you fail to pay the loan, the bank will take and sell your collateral to get their money back. Loans sound like an easy way to get what you want now and pay later, but there are dangers. On top of the principal you're responsible for, there may be additional fees and interest accumulation, making the loan even more expensive than intended. If you borrow too much money and can't pay it back, you could lose your collateral and damage your credit score. Too much debt could even lead to default and bankruptcy. Here's some helpful tips to avoid that kind of trouble. Only take out a loan for a large and necessary purchase or a sound investment and pay it off quickly. Only take out a loan if you know you can repay it without undue stress on yourself. Don't borrow money hoping to pay it back with a raise or bonus you don't have yet. And don't borrow money for a term that will last longer than the item you want to buy.
Oh, I got it. So how do I get started?
Here are a few steps to properly plan for a loan. First, review your budget and see how much you make, how much you spend and save, and how much money you have left to put towards the loan payment. You don't want to end up taking out a loan with a monthly payment too big for your budget. Second, decide how much you need to borrow and the total amount with interest that you'll have to pay back. You may decide that the final cost is too high and decide to wait and save up the money to pay cash. Or you might pay for part of the purchase with cash, this is called a down payment, then borrow the remaining amount. By putting some money down, your loan will be smaller and the interest rate won't be so much. Third, shop around for the best interest rates and loan terms at different banks. Review the terms carefully. Loans are a financial product and banks will compete for your business. So find a loan that's right for you. Taking out a loan is a major commitment. Borrowing responsibly can help you achieve some pretty important milestones in life. Just remember that decisions about when and what to borrow should be made carefully. But now you know how. Did you know that more than 6 out of 10 American households don't have enough savings to cover an unexpected $1,000 expense, such as a car repair or an emergency room bill? Life is full of surprises, some good, some bad, and some expensive. You can't always predict these things, but you can prepare for them. The first reason to have a savings account is for financial emergencies. Some people refer to these as rainy day funds. Another reason is to gradually save up enough money to purchase something expensive, like a new phone or a quality musical instrument or your first car. These things may cost a lot of money, but you can afford them if you save up little by little over time and discipline yourself to not spend the money until you've reached your goal. A third reason to save is to build what some people call a nest egg, or wealth for your future. With disciplined saving and investing habits, you could even achieve financial independence someday. That may seem like a long way off right now, but when you get there, you'll thank yourself for saving up over the years. As soon as you begin earning money, you can start saving a percentage of your income, and a savings account at a bank can help you do that. A savings account will pay you a small amount of interest and let you deposit money as often as you like, but will usually limit how often you can withdraw money. It's a very simple account and one of the first ones you should create. The way you grow the account is to make regular deposits and no withdrawals. Keeping the money at the bank makes it a little harder to spend than if it were under your mattress at home, and that helps you save it. Whether it's for an emergency fund, a big purchase, or investments in your future, you should always be growing your savings.
Emergency fund? How much should I save for that?
Well, financial advisors often recommend saving enough to cover at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So, if you usually spend $800 a month, you should aim to have $4,800 in your savings account. It may take a while to save up that much money, but once you do, you'll be better prepared for an emergency than most people. If that seems impossible, start small by saving up enough to cover at least 1 month's expenses.
I can do that.
Yes, you can. Go you. So are you ready to start saving money? Just follow a few simple steps. First, figure out where you're starting from. How much money do you currently have saved up, whether it's in your piggy bank or a bank account? And if you don't have a savings account, then ask your parent or guardian to take you to a bank to set one up. Second, decide how much you want to save, either as an emergency fund or a purchase goal. Let's say you want that sweet emergency cushion of 6 months worth of expenses saved up. Just add up how much money you generally spend every month, multiply that amount by 6, and that's your savings goal. Third, create your plan of action. How are you going to do it? How long will it take? If your goal is to have $12,000 in savings in the next 12 months, then you'll have to save $1,000 a month. Can you do that? Make sure your savings goal can realistically fit into your budget.
Or I could use the 50-30-20 rule.
Right! According to that budgeting rule, you should put 20% of your income each month directly into savings. So, if you make $1,000 a month, you should put 20% of that, $200, into your savings. Over 1 year, you will have saved $2,400. Just remember to start each month by putting away the amount you've decided to save. If you wait until you're done spending to see what's left over, you'll usually end up with little or nothing left for savings. If you're having trouble saving, look carefully at your spending habits and cut out the things that aren't as important. like those in-game purchases. Transfer this money into your savings instead. Make your budget lean and mean, and it will repay you in the end. But you have to be purposeful and patient. If you can't make any budget cuts, look for ways to earn more money. Now that you have your savings account, a savings goal, and a plan to reach it, you're on your way to peace of mind. Sure, it's tempting to spend that money right now, but later, when you buy that big ticket item, you'll be satisfied with your self-discipline in reaching your financial goal. And you'll also be glad when you have cash for a rainy day or to invest in your future, bringing you that much closer to being financially safe.
Did you know that over 60% of Americans have not fully paid for their homes? The average cost of a home is over $400,000, and not very many people have that much money saved up.
So, how do they buy it?
They buy it with credit. Credit is the measure of trust the bank or store gives to a customer for future payment of the money that they borrow for the goods they purchase now. Usually, the best rule for spending is, don't spend more money than you have right now. But there are some things you will want or need that are just too expensive to pay for all at once, and you might have to rely on credit to make the purchase. Credit is like an IOU. It allows you to buy something on the promise that you will pay for it little by little over time, instead of all at once. But sellers won't simply give their product to you based on your promise. Someone has to pay them now. Maybe it's the bank or a credit card company, but when you use credit, you are essentially borrowing all the money from someone to pay the seller for what you buy. This borrowed money is called a loan, and the person or business that you borrowed it from is called a lender. When you take out a loan or buy on credit, you owe the lender that money. They will keep track of this debt and how reliable you are at making your payments. If you pay that money back on time and in the amount you agreed to, you will have good credit. If not, you will have bad credit and you will be in trouble.
Uh-oh!
There are banking organizations that collect this information about you and give you a credit score, from 300 to 850. The higher your score is, the better your credit is. The average American has a score of 697, which is pretty good. If you can score over 750, then you're doing very well. But if you get down into the 500s or below by not paying your bill on time, lenders will not loan you money, and you should start looking for ways to improve your score. Think of credit as your reputation when it comes to paying back money that you've borrowed. If someone is thinking about lending you money, they're going to ask themselves, can I trust this person to pay me back? Do they have a good reputation or a bad reputation? Your credit score will tell them the answer. It's the first thing a lender will want to investigate about you when you ask for a loan. So your credit score can make or break your big purchase plans. Having good or bad credit will affect many things you want to do in the future.
But I'm not ready to take out a big loan yet.
Don't worry, there are ways to start building good credit with small transactions. One thing you can do is get a credit card and use it to make regular small purchases, as long as you have a plan to earn the money to pay the credit card bills. Check your budget to see how much money you'll have available when the bill is due, and don't spend more than that amount. Then, when the bill comes due, you'll be able to make your payment on time and pay off the full amount. This will show lenders that you're a reliable borrower. So in the future, when you need a big loan, you'll be trusted. Every time you pay your credit card bill on time and in full, your reputation gets better and your credit score goes up. But be careful, it's very easy and tempting to buy expensive things that you don't need with your credit card. Things that you won't have enough money to completely pay off for a long time. Remember, a credit card is essentially a short-term loan that is subject to interest charges. If you end up owing more than you can afford to pay back and you don't keep up with your payments, your financial reputation will get worse, and your credit score will go down. When you're stuck in debt like that, most of the money that you earn will go to pay for the old things that you already bought, and not new things.
Man, that sounds miserable.
It takes a lot of work to build your credit score back up once it's gotten too low, so it's best to keep it from getting low in the first place. So, even though credit is most important when it comes to big decisions in your future, it's never too early to start thinking about it and working on earning a good financial reputation. Establishing smart credit habits now is the best way to ensure that lenders will trust you when it's time to ask for a loan. Just remember, start small, be responsible, and you'll find that credit doesn't have to be intimidating. It can open up a lot of opportunities that will make life much better for you.
Watch more at PragerUkids.com. And parents, don't forget to subscribe.